Oh, it's so bright. Gosh. Hey everybody, a few days ago I asked you if you had any questions about my trip. I got a lot of questions, and so I'm going to take the time now to answer those questions. I am here in Quetzaltenango, I don't know how you say it, in this amazing round house pavilion thing, which is where I've been staying for the last few days. I'm the only one that's staying here. This is like my new crib, so it's been really nice, and it's given me time to catch up on pictures and videos and this other thing where I decided just to ask you if you had any questions. So let's get into it. So Mir Liadi. Sorry, I do not know how to say your name. Hopefully that was kind of close. Are you still in Wayway Tango? Which, side note, Wayway Tango is my new favorite city name to say, just because it's fun. The locals just call it Wayway. But to answer your question, no, I am not in Wayway Tango. I just went there to get some groceries and then continued on my way. I didn't really spend any time there. So I'm in Quetzaltenango, I think is how you say it. The locals here call it Shella with an X. So I don't know how you get that, but anyways, no, I am not in Wayway Tango. Jim asks, have you sensed any time on your journey that your life was in danger? Not in the traditional sense. I think where most people think like a group of people would come up and rob me at gunpoint or something, or I'd be at the wrong place, wrong time with some bad people. I've never had any of that on this trip. There has been some times on the bike though, where I feel like I have started to see, the white light at the end of the tunnel. Like I'll just be riding my bike head down, and then I'll look up and there'll be a bus or truck that is trying to overtake the car in front of them, and so they pull out into the oncoming lane, the lane that I am in, without realizing that I'm there. And so yeah, just looking up and seeing like a massive 18-wheeler like coming, barreling straight towards you, then I gotta like swerve out of the way. Or also on mountain roads, like going around some really tight, narrow, windy roads. Some of the cars, they don't really stick to their lane, and so they're kind of swerving in and out of their own lane as they go around the curves. And so I've gone around some sharp curves to be met, very suddenly by an oncoming car, and have, thankfully I've not been hit yet, but those are really the only times when, I've had to change my underwear. Jim also asks, are there times you wish you had an e-bike? Yes, every single hill I come across, so multiple times a day. Brooklyn asked, did you get your new tires sent to you? No, I did not, but I did find a shop here. Somehow, a shop here had tires that fit my bike. I went to probably at least 15 different bike shops in Mexico looking for tires, and was never able to find any my size. They either had like the real skinny road tires or like the super fat mountain bike tires, but nothing that's like the in-between, which I ride. But the guy who owns the place that I'm staying at now, he called the bike shop here and asked them if they had tires, and then he told me that they did, and so they're on my bike now and working great. Brittany asked, how did you come up with this idea? I do get that question a lot. Really, it all started many years ago. I listened to a podcast called the Adventure Sports Podcast, and they interviewed this guy who did this exact same trip from Alaska to Argentina on a bicycle. And at the time, I did not even know that long distance bike touring was a thing. I didn't know it was possible that you could ride your bike that far. I thought it was like, that was the craziest thing I'd ever heard. Fast forward a few years, I was living in Europe, and I hosted one summer several different bike tours, and seeing their bike and their setup and the gear they had and listening to their stories, it just seemed like a really cool way to travel. And I had been wanting to go on like a big adventure. I kind of had that planned a few years ago. And so after seeing that and thinking back to that podcast about the guy who went Alaska to Argentina, I decided that that's what I wanted to do. And so here I am. Brittany also asked, what research did you do before leaving? All of my research was very bike focused. I was not a biker before I started this trip, so I didn't know what kind of bike I needed, what equipment did I need. I didn't know how to do any kind of bike maintenance. So I didn't know, what tools that I need, how do you change a flat tire, all of that kind of bike gear stuff is what I spent the majority of my time researching. I did very little route planning and like research into roads and where I wanted to go country-wise. I did plan out the first leg from Prudhoe Bay to Fairbanks, which there's not even really any route planning involved. It's just one road. Like you can't even like take a left or right turn and get lost. You just go on this one road and you get there. So there really wasn't a lot of research that needed to be done for that. But yes, it was very bike specific focused, all the research that I did. Mallory wants to know best aminal sighting. The best aminal sighting for sure is in Alaska. Like every animal I saw over there was just awesome. I mean, every time I saw a grizzly bear or a moose, a bull moose or bald eagle, like that was just the coolest thing. But this one single sighting that was the best would be for sure in Denali National Park when I saw the two wolves and the grizzly bear interacting. That was just like some National Geographic, Planet Earth type stuff. And now I'm sitting, this sun is like directly in my eyes and it's so bright. I wonder if I can if I just talk from down here. Or I'll just have this weird sunlight rectangle on me. Claire asks, if you could ask any one person to join you on your journey, who would it be? Well, Claire, it would be you. Because, I'm always looking for ways that I can make better content that's more entertaining. And I feel like if you were to join me, the chances of you crashing into a gas station would just be very high, and that would just be amazing, entertaining, funny content. So just let me know when you're coming, and make sure you bring your helmet. You know which one I'm talking about, and see you soon. Morgan asks, what has been the most beautiful landmark you've come across? This was a good question. I had to think about it. I think one of the cooler landmarks was in Cholula in Mexico. They have this church there that's built up on top of this hill. The church was built back in the 1500s. It's super old, but they built it on top of this ancient pyramid from when the original native people that lived there, they built this pyramid that has, I think it's the largest base of any pyramid either in the world or in Latin America. And when the Spanish came and defeated them, they decided they were just going to bury the pyramid and then build their church on top of it. But they've excavated the base layer of the pyramid out, so you can see this really old pyramid at the bottom, and then you've got this nice green hill and this really pretty Spanish church on top. But then in addition to that, you've got these two really big volcanoes in the background, and just the setting of it is really cool. And then the fact that you've got this ancient structure with this still, 1500s, that's old, really old Spanish church on top, is really unique. Oh my gosh, that sun is bright. I'll sit over here. Is that better? No. I'll sit here, maybe. I'll sit here out of the sun. Maybe that's a little better. All right. Denise asks, why don't you talk about how much you miss the Lex Crew more? And then sent me an eggplant emoji, a peach emoji, and then the word spam. Well, Denise, maybe my silence on how much I miss the Lex Crew should, maybe that's a sign, you know, kind of like an indicator of something. But, you know, maybe if everyone hadn't moved away, even though I'm pretty sure I moved away before everyone else. Yeah, okay. Imra, when will you start your European trip? Well, Imra, I'm really just trying to go one continent at a time. So I'm just really trying to make it to South America at this point, and then I'll decide where to go after that. But I feel like I was on a European trip for 3 years before I started this trip. So I think it's going to be a while before I make it back there, but we'll see. Maddie asked me, have you found any friends better than me yet? Oh boy, how can I be gentle about this? Yes, I have. Pretty much all of them. Sorry. Maddie also asks, what's your favorite crime you've committed so far? Man, it's just, you know, when you're committing crimes every day, there's just so many to choose from. I did steal pastries one time in Mexico. Half by accident, half on purpose. I went to a Walmart there. It's the first time I'd been to Walmart in Mexico. And they had a little bakery there, and so I got a couple things. And I didn't realize how the bakery checkout process worked in Mexico. How it's supposed to work is you get your pastries, and then there's like a checkout place in the little bakery place. And they ring you up and they give you a little barcode sticker that the cashier scans when you do your final checkout. Well, I didn't know that. I just thought you get whatever, and then when you go to checkout, the cashier, you know, rings you up for it. And so I was in the middle of being checked out, and there was a huge line of people behind me, and I realized that I had messed up and I didn't do the correct bakery checkout procedure. And I realized that this cashier lady is about to try and explain to me in Spanish that I got to go back there and get my stuff checked out there and then come back. And then there's all these people waiting, and it was going to be just a big ordeal. And so I just like left it in the bottom of my cart and just kind of walked out with it. Nobody saw it. But it was only about $1 worth of stuff, and it was from Walmart, so I didn't feel super bad about it. But I learned proper bakery checkout procedure, and I didn't have that problem again. So it's either that or that one incident with the dead body. That was really funny, but we don't talk about that. I've had a few people ask, what's the hardest part about my journey? Brittany, what's the hardest part? Jordan, hardest thing about your journey? Walker, what's been the most challenging aspect? For sure, it is when the riding conditions have been awful for multiple days in a row. Like when I think about what's like the hardest times, it's the Great Basin in Wyoming, and then like going through southern New Mexico and in Chihuahua when I first crossed into Mexico, when it was just like 98 degrees every single day, and there was no natural water sources, and you know, there's just no way to avoid being in that environment, and there's like no place to go in to like a building and just get some AC for a while. You're just like out in this miserable heat day after day. That's for sure been the hardest, most difficult part. Martina wants to know, what's the most annoying thing during your trip besides flat tires? And I'm glad you said besides flat tires, because for sure flat tires is what annoys me the most. There are a few things in Mexico that really annoyed me. One of them was the fact that there is no toilet paper in any of the bathrooms that you go in. I learned that very early on. You know, you go into a gas station bathroom because you got to do your business, and there's no toilet paper. Luckily for me, that wasn't a huge issue because I always carried toilet paper on me anyways. But I just always had to remember that if I was going into an actual bathroom, to always take toilet paper with me. So that annoyed me. The other thing that annoyed me is that apparently trash can technology has not made it to Mexico yet, because there are no trash cans anywhere. And I would hate when I would go buy water, like at a gas station, and I would fill up my water bottles, and then I would have two big empty plastic, bottles that I couldn't get rid of because they wouldn't have trash cans anywhere. And so the amount of trash that I always carried on my bike, just waiting and looking for the next trash can I could find, was ridiculous. And that was something that always aggravated me. Okay, so I think that was everything. If you send me a question and I didn't get to it, sorry. I must have dropped the ball somewhere and I missed it. Yeah, so I hope to be doing this somewhat regularly. I don't know how often I'll do it, but maybe once a month is kind of what I'm thinking. If you have a question for me, you can just shoot me a message on Instagram. If you don't have Instagram, just get with the times. Just go ahead and it's time. You should have it by now. And yeah, thank you for the questions that you asked. I enjoyed answering them, and see you next time. This was like, no, too much leg.